your actual first cover story or whatever in the magazine?
My first story is called Preparing for Higher Education.
Preparing for Higher Education?
Yes, but the article, even though it gives some hints on how to prepare your child for college, it really goes back to some of the basics, like getting your child ready in terms of at a very young age,
Sure.
and instilling things like self-discipline, having a spiritual practice,
Sure.
you know, going to church, praying, you know, and I think one of the things that really inspired me in writing this article is that I see a lot of children who don't have a spiritual practice,
Sure.
and who don't have self-discipline.
What do we do today to get the kids more involved in actual reading? Because reading come down to real time. Like, you know, when we download that camera there, that camera back there is not real time. But this one is actual real time, the one that's on me. So what happens there, if I got an hour, it's got to download for 1 hour. Where this camera here, 20 minutes, 10 minutes to do the whole, you know, download the whole show, whatever the case may be. It could be 5 shows on there, but it'll download in 5-10 minutes. So how do we get the kids in a disciplined mode where they have to practice actual real time in terms of study? Because the kids, with all the additives that they have today, the different computers and the different things, and which rightfully so they need. But the idea, how do we get them to really sit down and actually do some concrete reading? Because that's something that I think that people are trying to get around with the fact of the internet and everything.
Well, one thing that I believe, right now we have a lot of organizations and a lot of school districts that are focused on children.
Sure.
And that's a good thing. But we don't have enough organizations that are focused on parents and families. And you can do anything you want to with a child from 8 o'clock in the morning until 3 o'clock in the afternoon.
Sure, you can.
But after that, that child goes home.
Sure.
And what does he or she go home to? You know, so it's always been my belief, and this is just my personal opinion, that you cannot save children without saving the parents.
That's the truth.
And you cannot save the parents without saving the whole community.
So actually what we need is to more implement to where the kids, where the whole environment is conducive to learning. At home, we have to set up where they have a proper lighting and a place where they don't have to study on the living room sofa or whatever the case may be. We need to really work towards that.
Yeah, well, I think that one part of the mission of the Guardian is to address a holistic approach as well as a spiritual approach for the entire family. And I think that the magazine is very timely. I think it's real and it's needed because there are a lot of articles in there that will address some of the issues of today for children as well as parents and families together. We also have a section in the magazine that has games. There's a crosswords puzzle that is put in the magazine to give the parents and the child the opportunity to put this crosswords puzzle together. There's a gift certificate that's attached to it, that if they are maybe one of the first ones to respond, they will get a gift certificate. And I have another one that is in there that it's a word scrambler, and the word scrambler, there is a contest as well for that, and if you submit your information on that contest, you can get some type of an Obama memorabilia.
Which I see right here.
Yes.
And I also see where you're focusing on article, I guess that's 32, childhood obesity, which
Yes.
is something that's strong in our community.
Yes, we have a registered nurse that is one of our writers. She is also a part of a mission through South Africa and has also some military background.
Okay.
She's writing an article on eating proper and nutritional and health, and she is also addressing the areas of childhood obesity and reducing the risk of cancer.
Well, that's a good thing. Now, what is this 41 Eyes on Fashion? What is it actually?
Well, we have a young lady who is, she hails from Georgia, but she lives right here in Plainfield.
Okay.
And she teaches right now over in New York at through the Fashion Institute.
Okay.
And she's writing an article on handbags, and upcoming articles will be on men and their fashion. So,
okay.
like I said, the Guardian Connection is going to be addressing the family and all types of issues that we face.
Now, your first copy will come out when?
It will be out between the week of Christmas and New Year's.
Oh, okay. So we're right around the corner with this. Here.
Yes.
Wow. Okay, let's go to Nicole Simpson. Now, you have your book here, The Ultimate Plan.
A financial survival guide for life's unexpected events. And all information and details can be found on my website, which is NicoleBSimpson.com.
Oh, okay. And I guess this deals with the everyday divorce and things of that nature.
It deals with how it really has a lot of stories based off of my relationship with clients and how we ought to respond to certain issues in certain areas in our lives financially. Because when we encounter a crisis, we oftentimes think about that crisis as a primary issue. But the next thing that's behind our thought process is, how am I going to deal with this financially? And so it goes together, it goes hand in hand, because the decisions that we make to address the primary issue is often predicated upon how much money do I have in the bank. And so what this does is it allows you to say, this is how you recover. I don't want you to get into those issues. So for me, for September 11th, there were over 3,300 individuals that never made it back home again.
That's the truth.
So that's 3,300 families, immediate families, that were affected. Affected by loss of income, affected by a parent not coming home, a dad, a mom not coming home. You know, affected by individuals who were, you know, if they were disabled during the time. You know, everybody didn't get the chance to go back to work the next day.
That's the truth.
I happened to be one of those individuals. I didn't go back to work immediately thereafter. And so, how did your family respond and recover to that? You know, did you have enough emergency cash set aside? And if you didn't, you know, what effects did it have on you? You know, the support and the assistance really wasn't for the survivors, such as myself. They were for the individuals that ultimately passed away. Those are the ones that, you know, their families was given a lot of support and a lot of help. But our family personally was affected. And so what I began to realize is my only source was God.
Sure.
And so we need to
Always.
recognize that our source is God, and He will provide for you. But then there's some practical application of instruction that we have to seek after. And unfortunately, that's where we fall short. We ask God, we're spiritually connected
Sure.
to God, but when it comes to how do I begin to save? How do I begin
Sure.
to implement, you know, how do I get insurance? How do I establish a business because I want to put my talent or my gift to use? How do I keep my house from going into foreclosure?
Sure.
We don't have that practical information, and so I feel as if my 15 years of experience prior to that, and then that experience
Sure.
coupled together allowed me to be who God has purposed for me to be today.
You have in the table of contents how to give yourself a break from taxes. I guess
Absolutely.
we all
we all
want a break from taxes.
That's right.
Well, that's exactly
Explain
right.
yourself.
Well, I am of the belief that we all have at least one talent. The word says that, you know,
Right.
and so you can bury your talent or you can utilize your talent. So I'm an advocate for entrepreneurship. And I always say, if I'm in a workshop or a seminar, I said, you know, an individual needs one of three things. You either need a house, a baby, or a business. Now, I'm not going to tell a 50-year-old to go get a baby, you know.
Well, you know what? But you know what? There was a woman in India
Just had
a few
70
weeks
years
ago,
old.
that's 70 years old, and
Yes,
had her
gave
first
birth,
baby.
Yes, to her first
Her
child.
first baby.
But you know,
God
that
bless
is the exception, not the norm.
Yes, it is.
But one of the things that I realize is that we all desire, especially in the church, we believe that we are destined to be financially free. We all believe it. We know that God's going to bless us, but we do absolutely
But
nothing
let
to
me
get
let me
it.
ask you this right here, Nicole. Why is it so much fear with church folk into endeavoring into areas where they may be outnumbered?
Well,
Pastor Kurt spoke of that right there the other day at ministers meeting that we have every month for Harvest Radio ministers, and he talked about how people of God are so afraid to venture out. You already have the weapon of God with you. You should be able to go out and make a change in wherever you at.
The challenge with that is, and I absolutely agree, but that fear comes in because there's no lack of knowledge. And unfortunately, I think sometimes the body of Christ do not properly educate themselves and create a plan of action. You know, and some of us say, and I'm saying some of us, but, you know, many people that go to church only pick up their Bibles on Sundays and whatever day their Bible study is.
Sure.
So that relationship that we lean on in the times of trouble is not the strongest relationship, and some of us don't consult God about what is it that he desires for us to do. And I happen to believe that, you know, our purpose and our finances can be tied together, and God will bless you when you're moving in the will of God.
Sure.
And many of us are not moving in the will of God, and we're not moving in the will of God because we don't have the instruction. We don't have the instruction because we haven't spent time with him.
That's
so
right.
that's why many of us
and we spend time with God, with God's word.
Well, we spend with his word, just communication
Yes.
with him, you know, and just and I asked somebody the other day, I said, you know, when you pray, do you just talk to God and then get up? Do you ever wait for an answer? And many of us don't wait for an answer from God, but he really responds as a friend would respond, and he gives you instruction, and he sets everything up. But unfortunately, we move ahead of God so much, and that's why the church is not financially free. You can preach prosperity all day. I don't preach prosperity at all. Even when I minister
Well, I think the
gospel,
whole
I
book
don't
is
preach it.
basically prosperity is in many ways.
Well,
I think that it's a prosperity book. It might not preach it as, let's say, some preachers that go out and preach it, but this book here is about moving to the next level,
this
moving
book
on
is
up to
about
the east side.
This
You know
book
what I
is
mean?
about being responsible, a good steward over what God has already entrusted you with. And so,
That
you
is
know, if
prosperity.
your calling,
Yes.
and that's right, that's
That is
a
prosperity,
post. If
That's
your
a
calling
different
is a
route.
teacher,
It's a different route.
you still can be financially free
Yes.
as a teacher.
Yes.
In the will of God,
Yes.
you're teaching. And
Yes.
you might not get the millions of dollars, but I guarantee you, you'll be blessed and you will not lack. And that's the full scope of prosperity. It doesn't have a dollar figure attached to it.
Gloria, all right. Next, in a few weeks, the magazine is coming out. Do you have already people that's going to carry the magazine? Will it be in supermarkets? Will it be in the local stores?
Well, I have, there are individuals who are writers of the magazines that have already made a number of connections with their local churches, as well as they network with their members in their community. But the magazine is being supported by a number of different entrepreneurs, and these entrepreneurs are, I have a young lady who's submitted a poem, and she is in Hollywood, California, and one other who is in Detroit, Michigan.
Okay, well, again, we're going to try to have you guys back. We're going to wrap it up now. This is the Reverend Zachariah A. Jackson from the Church of What's Happening Now, Town Talker Talk Show. Keep hope alive and keep change alive. Obama!
Obama!
Good timing.
Even message at how, you know, residents